You've done so many things. Like,
Yeah.
because I was looking when I was kind of prepping for this. Didn't you get like was it a computer science or some sort of computer degree?
I know. My
You're a freaking Renaissance man.
my background's wild, man. How I ended up to where I am today, kind of to your statement earlier about doing what you love is really how I ended up here. And to quote Matthew McConaughey is that we're really bad at knowing what we want, but we're really good at knowing what we don't want. And so much of figuring that out just comes through trial and error and testing the waters. It's like, how do you know what you like to eat? You try a bunch of food. I think life really just plays in that same game. And so, yeah, I mean, originally I was in school for computer science. I mean, if you want to go way back, I used to be a total nerd gamer, like super into video games. Like that was like my pride and joy. I thought that was going to be I actually competed and at a competitive level, won like money and prizes and video cards and all sorts of nerdy stuff.
What game was it?
Competitively, it was Counter-Strike.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's a first-person shooter.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I would have never guessed that.
Yeah. So that was my original, like, quote-unquote passion, which led me down the route of computer science. Honestly, the reason I didn't do computer science is too much math.
Yeah. Did you get the computer science degree, or you originally went to school for that and then
Originally
switched?
went to it, yeah.
Okay.
And then when I realized it was that much math, I was like, let's try some more science stuff.
How many years of co-sci did you do?
2.
2. I did 1 semester of it because my plan too was to do computer science.
I think it's a great degree.
It was too much math, and like I took 1 coding class and it just broke my brain. I was like, dude, I'm never gonna figure this out. And so I switched and then got a very useful political science degree.
Yeah.
So that's getting a lot of use right now. But interesting. So computer science, then you switched to occupational therapy from there.
So it was exercise science.
Oh, okay.
Was undergrad, and then the master's was occupational therapy.
Okay.
So there was a short stint in there where I worked as a personal trainer at LA Fitness for a window of time.
Is that a big deal?
I mean, are you serious?
I don't know. I don't know. Is it?
No.
It's a genuine question.
No.
Is it like Planet Fitness kind of deal, or?
Yeah, basically. Okay. Yeah, like there's nothing glorious about it.
Oh, you said it like, yeah, I'm a big fuck.
No. I meant the polar opposite. Okay. I meant like, yeah, cool. Okay. Like you could go get a certification and work at LA Fitness. Like,
okay.
Yeah, there's nothing special.
Is that like a big chain?
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, wait, you lived in LA too?
No. Like they're literally like across the entire country.
Okay.
And I don't even know if you need a certification. I'm pretty sure you can just go work there. I don't know. But
I've never seen one. Maybe I have. I just haven't paid attention. I don't know. Anyways, okay. So exercise science. What made you want to do exercise science? That's a pretty big switch.
Yeah, I think honestly a lot of it came from my mom, oddly enough. There was a phase where I fell into a pretty dark depression, and when I was like 17 years old, a girl broke up with me and severely depressed, like definitely the darkest place I've ever been in my entire life. For sure suicidal. And my mom at the time was going to the local YMCA, and she invited me to the gym, which ultimately, like, going to the gym, exercising, working out really like pulled me out of that depression. And so I now know today, it's crazy to think about, but there's like a hardwiring in my brain between health and fitness and general happiness, because I know what it did for my well-being. And so it was really my mom who was like, obviously you like this fitness thing, like you should probably pursue that. And I'm glad she did.
Yeah.
It's definitely like built a very strong identity around it, but it all came from that place of like super sad, pulled me out of depression, and now I've kind of followed it ever since. But
dude, that's so powerful. I've heard that story, similar story from a lot of people. Of like they're depressed, they're in a really dark place, they started running or they started lifting weights, pulled them out of that, and then they're great.
Totally.
That's so interesting. Have you heard that study? I've said it like 6 times on this podcast already, but there was a study that showed physical exercise was 1.5 times greater, or 1.5 times more beneficial at reducing the symptoms of anxiety and depression than pills and therapy
combined.
I think on their own.
Okay.
But yeah, 1.5 times better at reducing the symptoms of anxiety and depression.
Well, and on top of that too, it's intrinsic. Mm-hmm. I think is like what I would argue is probably the bigger factor in that. I've not heard that, but I'm not surprised by it. And I would also add too that I think it's also something that it teaches you self-soothing.
Yeah.
It teaches you as a tool on your tool belt to deal with something that's challenging in life, versus the other one is like you take this external circumstance, whether it's a person or a pill, which that's not really a healthy way to deal with anything.
Yeah, it's not natural.
No.
But I think we all have this sort of like built up energy that gets reset every day, essentially. And it's like we have to get rid of that energy through physical exercise. And if you don't get rid of that, it builds up and it turns into some dark mass of like depression or anxiety.
Dude, I love that you bring that up. Speaking of the dog analogy, I was just telling my girlfriend this the other day. I do a lot of this. We can go down this rabbit hole if you want.
Let's do it.
I'm technically homeless. I say home free because I love not having a home. So what I mean by that is I do a lot of house/dog sitting. There's this amazing website. It's called Trusted House Sitters. I don't know if you saw. I was out on a farm for like a month.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that.
We can get to that, but that's another story. But anyways, so I'm technically homeless, and so I've been watching a lot of dogs. But the dog breed that I've been most in love with lately is Australian Shepherds. I love Australian Shepherds, and so I was joking with my girlfriend the other day of like, I feel like an Australian Shepherd. I need to go burn off some friggin' energy.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm gonna be an asshole tonight. Like, I need to get rid of this, whatever I got going on in me. And so I feel like using that analogy has helped her understand why, like, I move a lot.
Yeah.
I exercise a lot. If I'll do a 2-a-days, it's cool. I just, like, I need to get it out and burn it off just like an Australian Shepherd.
Dude, 100%. I've noticed even with our dogs, like, if I don't run with them for a few days or, like, we're out of town and they just are hanging out at the house for a few days, they'll, like, start eating the couch. They'll, like, get into the trash because it's, like, they have all this energy they got to get rid of, and I'm sure they start going crazy mentally a little bit too. And so I think it's just so essential. Like, I don't know. I wish that physical exercise was like some mandatory thing that everybody had to do. It's like everybody has to, I don't know, get a driver's license or, you know, drive, like, I don't know, something that we all have to do.
Yeah.
Like legally. It's like I wish that exercise was that thing that we all had to do. We had to like check into like some app to the government of like, did you exercise for 30 minutes today? If not, we're marking your credit score down.
I feel like insurance companies have tried to do that, right? Where like,
oh, really?
Like they'll reduce your price of your premium or whatever it is based on like how physically active you are, or how healthy you are.
Interesting.
I don't know how successful it's been, but because like I don't think there's a lot of money to be made.
Right.
And
That's
like
the hard part.
making people healthy and happy, which is like has been my whole dilemma with why I got out of healthcare, is like exactly to that point, is that there's not a lot of money in it, so there's not a lot of incentives to actually get people healthy.
Right.
So, and not that I believe in conspiracy theories at all, but I do think it's interesting that so many of the foods probably that we eat today probably just make us lazy and lethargic and not want to do anything active, which is a whole host of a problem in itself. But.
Dude, I think it's so much that stuff just comes down to money and profits. Like I think it was Nestle or some huge like big food company. They employed like 80 psychologists, and for the pure fact of they try and develop foods that are the most convenient, so like low friction to consume, the most cost affordable for people, the cheapest, and then the best tasting, and whatever's gonna like ignite that or like
So sugar,
the catalyst of like that feedback loop.
Yeah.
So it's like the cheapest, easiest, and best tasting food. Like that's their sole job, is to create this shit. And it's like Oreos or chips or like it's all the stuff that people get addicted to because it like taps into our psychology, and that's like literally what they're doing. It's like with social media, where it's like these big companies will like hire psychologists to bring people into how can we get people to stay on this app longer. It's like, how do we get people to eat more of our food? And it's by making it the best tasting, and it doesn't matter what the ingredients are.
I mean, that's how sugar got pumped into literally every food on the market, is like it encapsulates all three of those essentially. Yeah. Like super cheap, super easy, tastes delicious, makes everything taste better. Like just pump it into everything basically.
It's scary. It's bad.
Yeah.
What's your I know, do you do like animal based diet?
Mostly meat and fruit.
Meat and fruit.
Yeah. I've never called myself animal based, but I will say since eating that type, I guess if you want to call it that, definitely the best shape and the best I've ever felt. Even to the point where I think I've noticed like my testosterone levels have gone up since eating that way as well. Yeah.
I've heard that from a lot of people.
Yeah.
That like low carb. Do you do is that low carb technically because you're just getting fruit? Or fruit?
I would say sometimes you err in that direction, but that's why I try to incorporate like sweet potatoes and rice because of how much I train.
Right.
I mean, shout out to my buddy Chris Bates. He's the one that really got me in like the whole quote unquote animal based thing. That's his dealio. And yeah, I'm not like strict on it because like I do see the value in carbs in general and the only way, if you're just eating straight fruit, it's very hard to get enough, especially if you're training a lot, which is why I incorporate rice and sweet potatoes. But for the most part, yeah.
You feel pretty good doing it? Like energy levels?
Yeah, it's been baffling, man, actually. Like, just how much better I felt overall in terms of overall conditioning, strength, sleeping better. Yeah, it's wild.
What's like a typical day look like of eating?
Breakfast is usually like steak and eggs and some sort of fruit. Midday, usually like chicken thighs, chicken breasts, usually some other type of fruit. And then dinner's usually like rice, ground beef, maybe sweet potatoes, and then again, some sort of fruit.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's like, it's
And
so
there's-
simple.
And there's so many fruits that you can mix it up with
Yeah.
that like you can get real creative with it. But I know you do a lot of raw milk.
Oh, I love raw milk.
I know. I don't do as much dairy. I know like on this quote unquote diet, people do a lot more like goat cheeses, raw milk. I don't do a lot of the dairy stuff. I know it's good. I don't see anything wrong with it. I don't know. It's kind of expensive.
Do you not like the taste or?
No, I don't know. I think it's I mean, raw milk in general is freaking expensive, man. Like a gallon's what, like $16 or something?
Yeah, I think I pay like 14.
That's crazy.
It's like triple,
And it's like-
basically.
yeah. I mean, it's great. Don't get me wrong. It's
Yeah.
amazing nutrients, but it's like, damn.
It is
like,
expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's when I drink regular like store bought milk, I get like super bloated and like my stomach doesn't feel right, and I drink raw milk, zero issues at all. And I think it tastes better too.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of nutrients within that stuff. But yeah, I do a very similar diet, like I guess you could call it animal based, and I feel so much better. Like energy levels are just like flat across the board as far as like consistent. Is probably a better word. Like when I eat more carbs, I like shoot up, have a bunch of energy, drops back down, I feel like shit, I crash. It's like that carb coma basically.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you? What kind of stuff do you train? Are you training for like a race? Or
High rocks.
High rocks. Have you done one before?
No.
Remind me what the events are for that.
You have, God, man, now you got me on the spot. Assault bike, the erg, box jumps, I think, burpee broad jumps, sled, push and pull, farmer's carry, I think, and there's one more I can't think of. But it's very conditioning based. If anybody's like trying to understand what it's about, yeah, I think it's 8 events, 8 exercises. In between every exercise is a run, and basically everything is conditioning based. Like it's not a lot. It's not like CrossFit, like where you're trying to like snatch or clean or deadlift or anything like that. It's all conditioning, and so it on average takes an athlete roughly hour 15, I would say is probably average time now. And it's always the same exercises regardless of where you are in the country, because I had some buddies that competed in it over at the World Championship in Europe. It's always the same ones. Like the guys that are really good at it can do it in less than an hour.
Jeez.
But yeah, it's super conditioning based, which is not normally anything I train for.
Interesting.
But,
So
yeah.
isn't it like you run a kilometer? Is that what it is in between each one?
Yeah.
Damn. So it's like, yeah, definitely more cardio, but a little bit of strength still required.
Yes.
Because what's the heaviest thing you have to move? Is it the sled probably?
Yep. So it's you push and pull a sled, and I don't remember how much it weighs, but that's by far the heaviest one. And I think I'm going to do a partners one with my buddy Ross here. Do you know Ross Churn?
Yeah, yeah.
So him and I are going to do it as a doubles, which basically then you can split it up. You can split it up however you want. You have to do all the running together, but then how you do the actual like exercise piece of it, you can split it up whatever you want. And he's bigger than I am. He definitely has like probably 40 pounds on me. So I'm like, dude, you have the sleds. I'll handle the conditioning stuff. And so, yeah.
Did you play sports growing up?
Baseball.
Baseball.
Yeah.
There
There's no
is-
conditioning in baseball. Like,
Really? Dude, when I played baseball, that's all we did was run, it seems like.
really? We maybe sprinted to first base, but that was about as...
I was always so confused why we ran so much because I'm like, you don't run during the game, really.
Exactly. I don't know why you...
Other than like the 90 feet to the base. We ran so much. I hated
Really?
it. That's why I hated running for so long, was because we ran so much in baseball.
I don't know. We didn't. Maybe we had bad coaches.
Interesting.
I don't know. We didn't do a lot of running.
Dang.
In that transition from getting out of an occupational therapist, that's where I started the marketing side of things. And so it was all online based. I really focused initially on website design and development. And that purely, as crazy as it sounds, came from, I saw there was a girl local where I was living at the time in Minnesota she was a health coach. And I already knew I wanted to work with like the health, fitness, wellness space because that's where I come from as a personal trainer and also working in healthcare. And I went to her website. It didn't look super great. No judgment against her. She knew what she was doing. And it was literally just like a cold email. And I was like, hey, I'd love to fix up your site for free. I think I could do a good job of like helping you get some more clients. And she's like, sure, of course. Like who wouldn't say yes to that? And through that, man, crazy enough is like I got so many clients through that one relationship purely because it turns out she was a health coach coach for other health coaches.
Oh,
So she had this giant network of health coaches basically that she tapped me into.
oh my gosh.
And I was like, well, this worked out swimmingly. And so that's how all the marketing stuff started, was that one relationship of me literally just reaching out to add value. I didn't want anything in return. She even wanted to pay me. And I was like, no, I'm purely interested in this relationship. I just want to help you out. I just want to add some value to your business. Helped her with her site, did that, started helping out a bunch of health coaches. And have pretty much been doing it ever since. And like, it's evolved, right? I work with different demographics now and like a lot bigger companies. I don't work with a lot of health coaches these days, but yeah. And now it's like our bread and butter is really website design and development. We do some content marketing, basically anything that you can think about that would be involved in like a funnel, right? It's from like a content to a website to a landing page to an email, like all that basically is basically what I do now.
Damn.
So
That's how any great business is born. It's just like helping somebody out for free, might add a little bit of value. That's such a cool. What are the chances? Like the one person you offer to help.
and she was down the street from me.
That's so cool.
Like literally it was like a Google Maps. She was literally like 3 blocks from me. And so like our first meeting was a walk around our neighborhood. It was like how we met.
Dang.
And so I've been in touch with her ever since.
Do you code the websites? Like, how did you learn how to code?
All self-taught. Everything from everything from designing to developing to branding is all self-taught, like all online courses. And that's why I said too, is like your original question of how I ended up in Texas and Austin and a lot of that stuff is like, when I say pain, I meant that sincerely, is like I was in a place where the pain of staying the same was greater than the fear of the unknown. And I think that can be really helpful for a lot of people because like that actually gets you to take action. Like I was willing to do anything to learn and to figure it out. Like even when I first started helping her with her website, I'll be honest, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Like I sort of knew a thing or two about the internet and webs. I knew more than she did. Let's just say that. I didn't know a lot, but I definitely knew more than she did when it came to like the internet and marketing. Let's just say that. And though like it was just continuing to learn and iterate and figure out, like even now, like my latest obsession has just been getting really good at SEO, which is just like another piece of the whole online marketing piece of it.